How's it going, everyone? I always start like that, but I really want to know how you're doing, so just comment down below. That's the first thing. So I'm going to do 6 reflections of my monthly reflections. So something that I'm starting, I want to document how I'm doing and what's been happening in my life, kind of like as I starting this new journey of pastoring. And maybe that can help you as a pastor. You may be more seasoned than I am, but maybe I have something to share for you. If you're just a person, maybe it can help you to do ministry in a different way. So 6 things that I've learned in my first month of pastoring. Number 1, moving sucks. I moved a lot of stuff from Michigan to Georgia, and honestly, I have too many books. I don't know what I'm going to do. I still have books that I need to unpack, and I have a full bookshelf with 2 rows like already filled. I'm actually trying to look for another one. So number 1, moving sucks. Number 2, pastoring can be very lonely. So go to public places. Public places really, really help. I'm going to the gym every day right now, and I'm really glad because I get to know people that may be on the health journey, and I kind of like talk to them and just kind of chill with them. The other public place that I visit and frequent quite often is a coffee shop. I visit 2, so one where I'm living and another one where I travel for my other church. I have 3 churches and 1 small group, so I travel to another one. There's like a university there, so I'm trying to focus, I'm trying to work in there. But during my first month, I've been going to that kind of coffee shop pretty much regularly, and I'm getting to know a lot of people. I pretty much ask the barista, ask her name or whatever. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? Or like, hey, Savannah, that's her name. And hey, how you doing? And whatever. And kind of have a little conversation, and hopefully eventually, I'll invite her to church, or other stuff like that. So, pastoring can be very lonely. So maybe reach out to your pastor, or as a pastor, go to a public place. If you have a family, I know it'll be harder, but try to maybe squeeze in some public place right there that you can reach people and get to know people pretty quickly. Number 3, don't underestimate your sermon prep. Sermon prep can be really hard, and I'm finding that it is. Getting to know the people, getting to share my heart with them, and what they need. So it's really hard to preach and prepare a very filling, super great sermon. I'm not the greatest preacher. I like more teaching, but when it comes to sermon prep, I'm finding hey, ask people what they are really needing from you. Make sure to be vulnerable. Make sure to, understand what they're going through. Let them understand what you're going through, and deliver a message that really inspires hope. But to their current situation. Don't try to think oh, my way is the only way, or my sermon is the only sermon. So I started to ask people hey, what do you want to hear about? What are you struggling with the Lord right now? So yeah, that's another thing that I'm learning. Sermon prep can be really hard, but when you ask people, they actually tell you, and you can start preaching to their needs, which goes into my 4th point, or 4th reflection. It's visit people. And not in a super creepy way, which is oh, hey, tell me all about your spiritual life or whatever, but more hey, let's go out to eat. And I've gone out to eat a couple of times with a couple of my members, and I'm really vulnerable with them. They're really vulnerable with me. So I'm really excited, just go out, eat with people, or invite them to your house if you're married, or whatever. That really helps. Number 5, I think it is make sure that you tell people that you are no higher than them. So something that I've really been emphasizing in my ministry in my first month is I'm a collaborator. So 2 Corinthians 6 kind of points towards that. Paul says we're all collaborators, even though he's the apostle or whatever. He's we're all collaborators, in sufferings and pains and joys and whatever it is, we're all collaborating for the same thing. So I think mainly thinking about that has given me the vision that every board meeting I have, I pretty much start with I'm no better than you are. Yes, I'm being paid, but you and I are going to make this work together. So I think that really helps because it sets the tone for creating a healthier community. Instead of thinking I'm going to do this all on my own, or they're going to do this all on their own, but rather inspire collaboration. And my 6th reflection, and the most important one this month, is don't focus on the numbers. Even if you're going to a super huge church or a very, very small one, like the ones I have, Don't focus on the numbers. The numbers don't count. What counts is your relationship with people and the collaboration that you're having with them. I think that that's something that I'm really learning. I'm been like kind of disattached, like, or whatever, like, sometimes because it's really like you struggle when you go from like a big place where you have a lot of people and a lot of friends and you go to like a small place where you're like, what am I doing here again? Question mark. And maybe you're young or like a millennial or whatever. And you're like, I want to be in the big city. I want to be like in Orlando, or like I want to be in Atlanta, or I want to be close to like Chattanooga, or I don't know, maybe like LA or New York City or whatever. And you end up like in the middle of nowhere, or like a very rural place, or like a hybrid place. And you're like, what am I doing here? I'm wasting my talent. I want bigger numbers. But it's like, actually don't focus on the numbers. Focus on the people that you have and build community with them. I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned. In the beginning, I was kind of focusing a lot on the numbers because I came from like a larger church, Now I have multiple churches. And that's kind of like a whole other video in of itself that I don't have time to cover. But yeah, don't focus on the numbers. Just focus on the people that you have. Make sure that you're collaborating with them and go to public spaces. I think that really helps. If you guys have any questions or you guys want to know more about the Bible or whatever, just comment down below and I'll try to answer them the best I can. So this is me and my monthly reflection for January. Hope you have a good day and see you on the next one.